everyone there. I just wanted to quickly cover a few of the trends. One is definitely related to security. I think towards later part of my presentation, I'll just talk about something which each state is doing, developing a lot of new applications. So something to talk about on the dev job perspective over here. Now, I think just before me, I think there was a lot of discussion about in terms of how strong authentication can also be done. And they were talking about tokens and smart cards and different type of technologies available today. But by just showing this slide, I just want to highlight something that today the problem which again we may face end up down the line is today each application today is going with so much of strong authentication, and they are somewhere still working inside also. If you look at PDS and you talk about eDistrict, they themselves are so strongly authenticated and secure. But from a state perspective, end of the day, down the line, you will always like to look at, can I have a single security layer across all the applications which are either being developed right now, or are they already in data centers running over there? Can we have a single security layer irrespective of what the technology is running at the back end? The advantage of doing this is in the long run, maybe the developers which bring in the system integrators, which bring in the application today, don't have to really worry about the security part of it, because the state says they have a framework ready, they have a single security layer ready. With the state, people have to just bring in their application and plug into the security framework which is available. So that is something which we should be looking at from state perspective, and I've been associated with government states for a long time, and I think we have started talking to different and multiple states. A lot of people have said, yeah, somewhere down the line, if this really happens in every state, any citizen which comes to access any applications, once authenticated, he just gets access to whatever he is authorized to. Delegation of power automatically happens. So if a department official comes and wants to access, he has his rights to access any of the application once he gets authenticated to one single framework which maybe a state implements. So this is one maybe a food for thought, I think, how do we really move forward and integrate. We definitely spoke about multi-factor authentication today. I think each one of us who have got credit cards, and now each one of the credit card companies have just replaced our credit cards with a smart chip. What they did, not just make it more secure, but I think they just added multi-factor authentication. Unless you now go to any restaurant or you go for doing any shopping, unless you put your PIN number, you will not be able to complete the transaction. So how do we make our citizen-centric applications seamless as well as easy for them to use? And I think one of the comments I heard in the morning that today 90% of the citizens have mobiles with them. So it becomes really easier with soft tokens for any of the citizens to generate a token number on their mobile phone and access any of the applications. So I think these are some of the single secure credentials to access any of the citizen-centric application from a security perspective. I just quickly wanted to move to something. This is something new, and this is something new maybe not from maybe from a state perspective, but if you look at application teams, or if you look at SIs who have to now come and deliver, whether it is eDistrict, whether it is PDS, whether it's a new application coming in health department, each one of them are facing a challenge of developing new application within a time frame defined by the particular state, that the implementation of that service have to happen within a couple of months. The challenge today each one of us are facing that, how do we quickly develop? Because it's not just about developing that application in isolation, it is also about integrating it with existing system, integrating it with legacy system, doing testing on those applications. The biggest constraint is availability of that environment to anybody to move forward. And then comes the operation part. So today, typically, if you look at and I think somewhere this will happen similarly in each of the states. So if you look at App Store, now where we have moved from 2008 to today, there were 500 applications when they started, and today we are talking about 900,000 applications. There were initially any minimum download, but today we are talking about 50 billion downloads. From the challenge or each one Apple today is facing, how do they quickly come out with new versions of application? how do they quickly roll out from development to production environment and give it to. In a very similar situation, I think from state's perspective, when citizens will be looking at faster rollout of new applications or even new versions, new forms which come for every application, how can we quickly roll out each one of them from there. So typically this is what happens. So I think this is a typical scenario, and I think everybody who works with application understands this scenario. A front user interface but the back end there is a complex IT environment which supports that front end interface for the citizens. So what typically happens here is the development and the operations completely are siloed today. And even within development part, if you look at, there are challenges. How do we really deal with setting up production environment and setting up. So I'm just focusing quickly on 2 C's of application delivery. One is constraint-free development, and the second one is continuous application delivery. Because if we are able to achieve these two in any environment, I think from application delivery perspective, we will cut down on much of the gaps and as well as the time frame required to deploy any of the new application environment typically from there. And this is what the challenge we are dealing with. We are dealing with the gaps which are there in between, which are the gray areas, primarily saying how do we reduce the idle time. And why is the idle time coming? Because non-availability of the environment, either to do development, either to do testing, either to do a functional UAT over there. Somewhere there is so much of IT time because of non-availability of IT infrastructure, which causing the delay for applications to be rolled out over there. So typically this is what, if you really look at, somewhere there is production server not available, somewhere there is a third-party application server not available, there is a network downtown. And how do we really achieve this thing? Is what typically you do. If you look at 2 scenarios, there is a before scenario where dependence on third-party environment is so much that you can't move forward. But if you look at the after scenario, if you look at the after scenario where with service virtualization, and that's the technology trend I wanted to highlight over there, where today I think in India also it's really getting more focus right now with application environment and application delivery environment, saying with service delivery you can go away with dependence on third party, create virtualized service environment for whatever you want to do, testing, new environment delivery. I think you should be able to achieve that. And just the last slide before I end up. Once the development is done, how do we talk about the release part of it? Can we quickly roll out release of new versions, new forms which are being generated over there, and quickly from days and weeks, can we make a complete automated environment for release of new applications in stage? So I think if somewhere if you look at the new technologies which are available today to help our system integrators, as well as maybe if it fits within the vision of the state, because state will any day will be interested to cut short the time which any of the citizen-centric applications take to be implemented on the field, and so technology can be a great enabler over there. Thank you.